Okay, it is now recording, so you're good to go.
Perfect. Cool. So I'm just going to give a quick kind of presentation on the 18-day computing for teachers course that we've been running it now probably for at least 10 years, I think. I only joined in 2017. That's when I first started. I took kind of ownership of this course and have developed it over the years. And now passing on to two of our delivery officers instead, since I've become the operations manager. So this course has changed slightly over the years, and it's being reviewed again for this year to make it more relevant for the new curriculum and make sure that we're not missing any opportunities to link it to the new curriculum. So I'll just jump into the presentation before I talk too much, just on the introductory slide. Yeah, just very quickly, my name is Luke Clement. I'm the operations manager for Technoteach now across Wales. So if you are ever looking for any support with digital technology, computer science, or IT, get in touch with Technoteach. You can get in touch with me or through our website, technoteach.com. And just in case you don't know about Technoteach at all, we've been running now for 20 years, going into our 21st year. And we support schools with workshops. We support primary schools with our playground computing scheme, and our teachers with the Technoteach arm of that, which we started in 12th. And then more recently, we've started looking into supporting businesses in Wales as well, and getting people who are already in business upskilled in these digital areas, just to improve the digital pipeline in Wales and get more people with the skills that we need into industry to kind of give a push for the digital industry in Wales. And as I said, it's a pan-Wales programme, so we have a team in every hub now. We've even got a staff member in Aberystwyth, which means I don't have to drive down to St David's and teach every now and again. Over the last 10 years, or 12 now, oof, time's flying. So we've seen over 19,000 kids, 45,000 primary, 45,000 secondary, and mostly what I want to mention here is over 120 teachers have been through this 18-day course with us since I started in 2017. So it's been quite a popular uptake. Obviously, that's died out a bit since the pandemic, but we're hoping that it'll pick up again now, so we can keep upskilling more teachers across Wales. So that's the more stuff that we do, but I'm going to skip through to the CPD. So this isn't the only course that we offer. We've got 18-day computing course for teachers. We do this for both primary and secondary teachers. So I'm just going to make everyone aware of what we do offer in case you know of someone else, maybe in a primary school, who would be able to use some of our other opportunities. We can offer bespoke training as well. If there's a particular topic you want training in, we may offer that. Everything we do is free, so get in touch and we'll see what we can do. I'm about to restart Minecraft CPD, so how to use Minecraft Education Edition, as well as a lot of microbit CPD for primary schools as well. But this is why we're here. So this 18-day course, we're hoping to have a cohort for secondary and a cohort for primary this year. The secondary one being what we're teaming up with EAS and Sean to run this in the EAS region. And I believe Sean can confirm this, there'll be a subsidized amount for the teacher, for covering the teachers to come out to these sessions throughout the year. So there's 18 sessions throughout the year. These are entire school days, so it usually starts about 9 and finishes. It kind of changes depending on what content there is, but roughly between 3 and 4 it finishes each session. And these tend to happen every 2 weeks, but I try to balance it so in exam periods there isn't that much stuff to do or that many courses, so it works around the school year as much as I can do. And in general, there are 4 units. We are slightly restructuring this, but all the content will stay the same. It's just going to be more coherent and not seen as full individual units. They're going to be more put together, so there's kind of a nice narrative, I guess, or a nice progression throughout the whole course. Throughout it as well, we are going to make sure there's opportunities for people to create resources that they can actually use in their own schools, so they learn the content and have something that they can then go and apply in school. Lots of what I see, the teachers that get the most out of this course are the ones that in between sessions try using what they've learned in the session, because it sticks with them. And then the ones that I see that don't do that, often I have to repeat what we went over last time, and they just don't retain the information as well as they would if they tried to teach it themselves. So just in terms of content, so the first course, of the first unit, sorry, that's the introduction to programming. That's probably the main bulk of the course. Probably almost half the course is this introduction to programming. So for secondary schools, we teach Python, and it's broken down so that you learn programming concepts like variables, if statements, loops, and so on, by doing tasks just on those concepts. So you do tasks on variables, then you'll do a lecture on loops, and you do tasks on loops, and then you do some lectures on if statements and selection, and then you do tasks on that, just to kind of make sure that people are understanding you're learning programming concepts here. You're not learning Python, so to say. You're learning the concepts through using Python, which is a reasonably easy language to pick up compared to some others that you might find. So that is probably the most challenging part of the course, is getting through the first half where you're picking up these new skills. But once you get used to those, you can then apply those concepts in any language. So just because you've learned Python doesn't mean you can't then go and do some other written language. It might take a few Googles, but that's how programming works. If I want to learn a new language, I just Google, how do I do this in this language? Because I understand the concepts themselves. And that's what we're trying to get across, that we want to get teachers understanding the concepts so that if something changes or if anything develops further, new languages become popular, if you understand those concepts, they're not going to change. Well, I hope they won't. I'll have to retrain as well. And then you can adapt to that in future. So hopefully you don't have to go through this course once, is what I'm saying. And then so these first 2 units, that's what we're currently trying to put together a bit more, because we had loads of learning of Python and how to do it yourselves, and then how can you apply that in your own teaching, whereas we're trying to interleave those two a bit more, so that we think it'll probably work better, so that you get more opportunity to try it out yourselves in school as well. And then after focusing quite heavily on Python, there are a few other kind of standalone sessions, which then lead into a unit on data representation and assembly language. So these are all core parts of the GCSE, and everything we teach here is all content that you'll need to understand to be able to teach the GCSE effectively. So assembly language, we look at what's called LMC, Little Man Computer, and that is part of the exam in the GCSE Computer Science. It's hard to get your head around initially, I think, but in terms of language itself, it's actually more simple than Python is. It's just that because it's so simple, you have to do more of the thinking yourselves on how I can solve a problem in it. And then it also looks at data representation. How does a computer actually store data? How does it represent it inside the computer, and how does it all work? So it's more about how does software or programming, how does it actually link to the hardware of the computer, and how does the computer work? So also a big topic that's in the GCSE Computer Science. And then the very last unit, it's teaching robotics, but we kind of use it as a more broader term, teaching hardware. So any sort of hardware you can use that makes the learning more engaging for the pupils. When you're teaching just kind of programming in Python and you type some text and it makes some more text appear on the screen, that can be a bit dry for pupils in particular. So when you apply using some sort of hardware like I don't know, Lego robots, Sphero robots, or microbits, Arduinos, and so on, more hands-on kind of circuit work, and the pupils actually program something on a computer and they see an outcome in the real world, that has more of an effect on them and it tends to get them more engaged. So it's a really important part of teaching programming. So the course covers a lot of content. So now that you don't get very many easy days on this course, it's quite full on, but the outcome of that is that you will have a very rounded knowledge of the entire GCSE and be confident enough to teach that. We've had lots of teachers who have gone on from doing this course who hadn't had any background in programming, and are now heads of computer science in schools. So it's worked quite well. The assessment, we are really looking at it. As I said or before the recording started, so I'll say it again. This course used to be accredited by an awarding company, an awarding body called VTCT. It's now no longer accredited by them. They decided that as we were the only centre in the entire UK running this course, it wasn't worth their time. But the course is still going to have the exact same content and the same outcomes for teachers. So we're looking at having taken those 4 units and we're putting them into 3, essentially, breaking it down to these. And at the end, you will have made 3 programs. So one will be used by you when you're teaching pupils. And there'll also be a couple of other programs that you'll make as a task for the pupils to complete as part of your lessons. And then on top of that, we're going to be looking to have one fully formed unplugged lesson made by the end of the course as well. So it's about learning the content and then being able to apply that in your own teaching, being confident then to go from here and carry on doing that for the rest of your careers, hopefully. And there's just more depth. I was thinking of what we actually cover in those 4 units, what kind of topics. So we always start off with comp thinking, making sure people know how to think computationally, breaking down problems. Essentially, it's problem solving, but how can we get a computer to solve things for us? Python programming. Greenfoot is another important part of the GCSE computer science exam. So we look at that. That's in the Java programming language, which is structured a bit differently to Python. So you get a good variation of different kinds of programming as well. Number systems, assembly language I mentioned microbits, Arduinos. I think I mentioned most of these, few robots. And we also look at Boolean algebra, which from teaching this for 7 years now, I think it's the topic that people are most afraid of, but they shouldn't be, I think. It's kind of like the boogeyman. It's quite scary at first, but once you get used to it, like anything, it's just like normal maths, normal algebra, but slightly different. So it depends if you like normal algebra or not. And then we also do want to look at some block-based programming, because you won't just be teaching Python throughout the school from year 7 up. There will be opportunities to use block-based programming. I'm a massive advocate for the Scratch programming language in year 7, because I think you can teach the programming concepts really well, and then later on worry about the errors or the syntax that you might come across in Python. And Make Code Arcade is one that we're trying to push for schools that are also teaching Digitech. It's a good introduction language to if you're going to games development with Game Maker, if you're offering that in the GCSE. And obviously, depending on the cohort, we have opportunities to bring in some things like Game Maker and Adobe Animate if those are things that are required by the teachers on the cohort at the time. And I just quickly wanted to go through some case studies of people that have been on the course. I mean, Tom on the call has been through it himself. I think he is head of computer science in Queen's at the moment. I don't have a case study on Tom. We'll have to get one in the future. So this is Sam. So Sam Chukas was a French teacher when he came on the course. He's now gone on to become head of digital technologies at Cwm. So he teaches computer science, digital technology and ICT. And that's not uncommon. We've had a lot of people. I've had someone who taught classics, who taught Latin and something else. He's head of computer science at St Mike's Cincinnati now. Lots of teachers who are maybe in design and technology who have retrained. We've got a music teacher who I'll mention in a bit. This is Fiona. She's the 3rd teacher from her school that has been on this course. So all of their current department now has been through this course. And I don't think any of them had prior training, or one person did have prior training in computer science, but the other 2 were more business and IT. So they've definitely benefited from it. Sarah was actually a teaching assistant. So even though this course is primarily for teachers who want to go on to teach computer science, we have had teaching assistants come on the course and have done just as well. Sarah enjoyed it so much, she actually went on to do a degree apprenticeship program and did the 1st year of a computer science degree after doing this course. And her school had won an award, a group that she led in a competition. So we're quite pleased with how she did and how she coped. And then Byron is currently on the course this year. He's been teaching music tech for 20 years and a bit of IT. He's now doing the course and teaching Python at the same time, which I think he's finding that useful. The fact that he's using it whilst learning it is helping it stick a bit more. So we've had loads and loads of people come on the course who have no background in programming or have a little bit of background in programming. And it's just about building up their confidence that they can then go and teach this GCSE. So that is the main outcome I want, is that whoever does this course is able to go on and teach the GCSE computer science. And in case this is of use to anyone as well, we've got a Microsoft team for teachers of computer science, digitech, and ICT. If that is of use to anyone, there's 236 teachers currently in it. And it's a place where people can just share ideas or ask questions about any of the exams that are coming up and these sort of things. If they have trouble with tech, which has been a big one with digitech, trying to get the computers and licenses to work, it's a place that you can go to kind of ask questions. And as Technoteach host this, we're also there if we can help with anything, although generally it's the teachers who are experiencing things in schools that are most helpful in this. I think that's it. So we've got lots of other events coming up. I'm not going to bore you too much with these details. We do have robotics competitions every year and coding competitions, so keep an eye out for those. And yeah, that's less relevant for everyone that'll be on this recording, but you can keep in touch, check out technoaccounts.com, and send me an email if you see my email on there, or I'm sure Sean can pass on my emails if you need to as well. Cool. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Luke, thanks very much for that. It's a really informative overview of what the programme is all about. And for me, I think you hit the nail on the head there in terms of the ability to be able to follow in this programme, deliver the computer science GCSE. I think that's a really important one for me. And I'm sure those on the call or those who are watching this back, sort of following the session, you know, I'm seeing lots of schools are starting to pull computer science or haven't got specialists available to be able to deliver it. And something I'm really keen on within the region is sort of increasing the professional learning offer around computer science, because, you know, with artificial intelligence and the way technologies are changing in years to come, we need to be able to provide that offer for our learners so that they're able to access that as they're going forward. So I think this is really beneficial, and I would really, really encourage people to engage in this programme if they're able to do so. In terms of question for you, Luke, just one. Obviously, who do you think would benefit from this programme? Are we talking just IT teachers? Like you said, you've obviously alluded to it a little bit there in your case study, but non-specialists, those kinds of things, you know, is it available and open to everyone?
Yes, anyone who is teaching in secondary or even supporting, if you're a teaching assistant, this course kind of gets you to a level where you would be comfortable with GCSE computer science. I mean, the coursework in GCSE computer science is quite difficult. So you might not be in the first year amazing at that aspect, but you will be able to do it to, you know, a level that you would expect from any normal GCSE computer scientist.
That's great. Thanks, Luke. So just to round this off, guys, just to share with you, if you are interested in taking part in this programme, you will have had a link sent out to you for an expression of interest in the Technoteach secondary programme. It gives you a little bit of an overview of what Luke has talked about there. More importantly, the dates that the cohort will run for the next academic year are there. And as you can see, they run on different days throughout the year, so they're not always on the same day. And like Luke said in his presentation there, whilst they develop this programme, they try to move the dates around so you're not missing the same classes at the same time throughout the year. And also the dates are spread out so that during the exam period, it does tend to calm down a little bit, so you've got time to prep and to be able to deliver on that. So they're the dates, and they're those the dates you can take away and pass back to your line managers or anyone you think would be interested. Luke did also mention, he's absolutely right in saying so, any school within the AS who participates in this programme, there will be monies provided to support the cover of supply. So the AS will be paying directly to the schools £100 per day. So that equates to £1,800 over the whole academic year for attendance at each session. And I think that will go a long way towards covering some of the cost of supply. You may have internal supply, you may get them in externally, but it will go towards covering that cost. So what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to put this up on the screen for a couple of seconds. If you are interested in engaging in this program, or you know of a member of your teaching staff, again, it could be someone within your department, it could be a non-specialist, could be a teaching assistant, somebody you think will gain from this program. If you'd like to sign them up via the expressions of interest form, and we're going to keep this open until next Friday, so that'll be Friday the 7th, at which point then we will close and we will directly contact each of the schools who have made that expression of interest to discuss further whether this is something they're going to engage in. So I'll leave that up on the screen for a couple of seconds. You can scan that QR code and fill that in.
Thanks, Sean. Sorry, can I just ask, I may have missed this as well, which would be totally like me, but where does this take place? Is it a certain place, or is it?
That's a very, very good question. It's going to be taking place at Abertillery Learning Community. So we've got a classroom up there that it's ours, and that will be taking place in the same place throughout the 18 sessions. Usually, Luke could tell you more on this. This program would run down in Swansea, but we've sort of worked with Techno Camps to make sure that we can offer this within region to try and get as many schools as possible signed up and to negate some of that further travel down to Swansea. So yeah, good question, Phil. You haven't missed it. It will take place in Abertillery Learning Community.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording there.